presented by Outreach Community Health Centers. Not just a show. This is a movement dedicated to bringing our community together through wellness, keeping your heart pumping with positivity. Happy Friday. If you haven't peeked outside this morning, the fog is fogging. The fog is fogging. Now, here's why this is a interesting piece. So my allergies doing everything, kicking in the overdrive yesterday and today. So my eyes already look like this when I wake up, and then the fog just adds an extra layer. So if you are headed out this morning, give yourself some extra time. It's a little foggy outside. As they say, don't overdrive your headlights, and that's like words of wisdom this morning. Don't overdrive your headlights. Give yourself enough time to arrive to where you need to be, so you get there in one piece. How y'all feeling in here today? Say.
Even
Hey.
you hear that, Jermaine?
Hey.
Don't overdrive.
Don't overdrive
your
your headlights.
Give yourself what?
Hey, extra time to arrive safely.
Heavens and Mercury, even.
Listen, every now and then, I keep telling you, I can't move in extreme perfection like that. I gotta have some cracks in my armor, right? I can't be all things to all people all the time. That's not realistic. It's not realistic. So good morning. But how y'all feeling in here?
We're good. We're good. I too, just as Jermaine just alluded to, I am drained. I'm tired, but we persevere.
We do.
Got a lot going on this weekend. Are you guys going to be down at Garfield?
We're going to go down and support individually. There's another event at Summerfest, the Pulse Health and Wellness event, usually presented by Aurora and Donald Driver.
Okay.
It's a lot going on. It's a lot.
Right.
Ebony, however, will be allowing these allergies to run their course.
Does it feel like we're winding down summer?
And you know how I feel about it. You know how I feel about it. I need sunshine. I need great weather. I'm struggling. Y'all struggling too?
Yeah.
Yes, especially coming from Miami.
Right out. Now, you done had a good 2 weeks.
He been
to
back from
land
Miami
that
4 months. He been back from Miami.
You done had like 2
and I
weeks
still
to
been
land
there.
that plane. Mentally, you
I still been there.
Yeah. I'm not mad. I need like a good month in Hawaii or somewhere Central America.
See, when you do that kind of stuff, it's just torture because you know you're going to want to not come back.
Right. So how can we work remote? Are we set up to do this show?
Sure.
Can I be in Peru?
We can do this
somewhere?
show anywhere in the world.
Really? Okay. Well, that's more to come on that.
Where was Michelle at when she did hers last 3 weeks ago? She was in Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard.
Well, darling, the elite of the country.
Yeah, she was summering.
My invitation might still be in the mail.
Got lost in the mail.
Yeah, nobody invited me out.
Yeah, she was summering out there, but she did her show for 3 days out there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. That's what I need. So change of scenery, change of weather. I've talked extensively on this show. I need sunshine. So this season is always hard for me, y'all. It's hard to
but you know what I found out, Ebony?
Having
lived in California, I can only speak for me, but I actually missed the weather here because we got a chance to experience, if you will, all the seasons. Out there is just either sunny and warm or cold and rainy. And their cold is not cold.
It's like what, 40 degrees? Like
yeah, 40,
now, right?
35, something like that. I mean, and they like got big coats on. I'm going, really? Is this what y'all really? Christmas wasn't Christmas because I'm used to, a white Christmas. So it was just like, nah, I can't do this.
No, I could just watch it on the news.
I thought Christmas ain't Christmas without the one you love.
Oh, Lord. Have mercy.
Geez, here we go.
That's what I thought.
He's just a romantic.
That's what I thought.
You be seeing chestnuts roasted on the open fire.
But it don't be open, though.
But y'all do know the reason for the season.
Oh, my God. Y'all.
Oh, yes.
So what I'm hearing then is y'all got a couple months to make these holiday gifts. Matter of fact, celebrate them all. Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Y'all give me everything.
Right.
Just bring us gifts this season. Bring us gifts this season. So no, it's hard for me these next couple months when the sunlight isn't there, when the heat isn't there. Folks get stressed out around the holidays. All that has an impact on like how. But
you know what? I was looking at what just kind of looking ahead, looking at what your topic is today, and I think it really falls in line with the seasons, the weather, the so forth and so on. So I think it's going to be a good one today.
It does. Well, let me ask y'all this. So in times of stress and tension, what do y'all do to lighten the mood? Like what are those tools you have to help you?
I stopped talking to my wife. Hope she's not listening.
Like, you know what? Call in and get him right together on the air.
But no,
Right
for me, I just find a quiet place. I go in my man cave, listen to some music, just kind of get to myself. And I'm very rarely what I would deem to be depressed or stressed. I try not to let things bother me. I try to work ahead of myself and things and kind of keep that stress off because, the old folks say stress will kill you.
And listen, and it really will. So today we'll be talking about it's Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So this is not my expertise. So I do what any brilliant person does, go and find somebody that's their expertise. So today we'll be talking about suicide awareness, prevention, what to look for in people around you, what to look for in yourself, and then what those resources are around you. So to that point, this is a season where we do get the moods that feel a little more heavy. And so what do you do with that? Write out what you do with that on the days where it's like, I'm not feeling it. For me, I'm a good, and I've learned myself enough to know I move in cycles, right? So I give myself a couple days every month where I just do nothing. That's the sweatshirt, the pajamas, the snacks, the Netflix marathon. I just get somewhere and sit down, right? And figure out how it's all connected. So yeah, I'm about to hibernate. I'm excited about that. Me and my little, it's me and snacks. But I think it's also important for us to say it's okay not to be okay. I think sometimes even when I have my little moods, people are like, well, what's wrong with Ebony? Well, what I get a time to not be on point and not, always happy. We need to make sure that we're giving ourselves enough space for that. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, how are y'all feeling Milwaukee? I will say this too. The season feels heavy for all the things that we are collectively dealing with. So I looked at the calendar and I said, it's September. Why does this feel like the longest 9 months of life? Right? It feels heavy. So what do you do with that? I want to hear back from you, Milwaukee, 414-444-5250. Tell me what you do to stay positive in these seasons as they change. What are you doing to protect yourself, protect those around you? And if you have been impacted by suicide, I know in having conversations and preparing for this show, I thought back to some of the people that I've known. I've been in higher ed for a little bit, maybe over a decade. And I actually had a student that died by suicide. And I thought about, you go into yourself, well, what could I have done? Did I miss the signs? Was there an opportunity for a conversation that I didn't have? You just start thinking about all of those kinds of things. So where do you process that? How do you process that? And where do you go again? If you're not feeling 100%, if you're not feeling like you can give your best, what are the resources for you to become a better human? So we'll explore all that in the show. Greetings and good morning. Come on in. Listen, I knew you was going to get the party started early. No, again, I'm bringing the experts because this lane I need a little help with, right? So we'll let you get settled. Greetings. Good morning. Good morning. How you be? How you be? How you be? All right. So Milwaukee, talk back to me. 414-444-5250. In the building. In the building. I'm excited about this. Introduce yourself, good sir.
Hey, it's Kweku, Amoasi, better known as the Blacksmith. It's a pleasure to be in here
early.
This topic is sort of like this day is gloomy, but you still got to deal with it. You just have to navigate a little differently.
This is true. First off, let me say thank you. I know your show comes on a little bit later on Wednesday, so I appreciate you getting up early. I was just telling them the allergies are kicking, but it's feeling like today. So we're talking suicide prevention awareness. Talk to us just about your background, your history, how you got your start, and then what we do with this heavy topic.
Yeah, so My name again is Kweku Amoasi. I'm a licensed psychologist here in the state of Wisconsin. I've been licensed for the past, wow, it seems so hard to say,
forever.
For the past 19 years. I got my doctorate from UWM. Actually, I started off in the schools. And so as a school psychologist, most of the time we never thought about suicide with the children, but I said, even if children at that time wasn't committing it, that's where like the seed started. So whenever we start thinking about people with suicidal behavior, we always look at what's the history of the childhood, what's the past trauma, what's the past hurts, what's the past pains, how did they learn how to deal with situations, whether it be through society or whether it be through in the homes. From working in the schools, I worked actually in the correctional system in Wisconsin, so I got a chance to work.
It's all connected, right? Like the school to prison pipeline,
and that's what it was. Sadly, when I started off in the schools, I started off in special ed. Then I started working at St. Charles Youth and Family Services. I went to Ethan Allen. Then I went to RYOC, which is Racine Youthful Offender Correctional Facility. Then to Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility. And I saw people go from me from special ed to St. Charles, over to Wales, to RYOC, over to MSDF along the way. And it was scary seeing that prison, the pipeline in the system. But in the prison, what we had recognized, and this was probably what gave me the most information on suicide, when somebody came into like a place like MSDF, that's like a holding tank.
Now you got to give me the acronym.
Oh, MSDF is Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility. So it houses men and women. It was supposed to just house people when the prison, the correctional facilities was overcrowding. For a couple of weeks, because you don't get to go outside. There's no natural sunlight. It's a high-rise building, but it's a building inside of a building, which is a real weird situation, and it has no air,
no sun. I'm out at no sun. That has an effect on people.
It's one of the most inhumane places that they have, and we don't talk about that. Milwaukee Secure Detention Facility, right up on 10th and State.
Okay.
Yeah, that's MSDF.
Listen, that is one of the worst.
Yeah,
it's a building inside of a building.
Yeah.
So
that's why you don't get any sunlight.
Again, I'm out at no sunlight and veggie loaves.
And you don't get to go outside.
It's 23-1.
No, it's not 23-1. Because what it is, it was supposed to be like basically a place what they call ATR, alternative to revocation. So when you're there, you're supposed to get treatment. So, and this is where I said where the suicide came up, because when people came in, they were just now booked. So it was almost like a city, like a county holding. But the first 48 hours was the most nervous, because let's say I'm already on parole and I don't know if my PO is going to revoke me. So meaning like, instead of being out, they're going to give me 20 years. Those 48 hours was the most nerve wracking, because you know what? People didn't know what was going on. And the phenomenon that I saw was, if people got out, they was like, that was a close one. Or if they got 20 years and they knew they were going to do it, once they knew they had 20, they were okay. Because they was like, okay, now my mind knows what I got to do. I could get used to it. But it was that unsettlement period.
But how is this possible? I guess if everybody knows this is an issue, like, well, maybe that's a different show. If everybody knows this is an issue.
Oh, no, we can say it real quick. They pulled the okie doke on the community, because what they said was going to be a holding pattern. People would be here just for a few weeks and months, because they knew it's inhumane. But then it was like, hey, you know what? Instead of just being an ATR, now it becomes a holding place for people with special needs. Then they put women inside of there. And at one time when I was there, the women didn't have air on their pod. Now we got women who are pregnant, women who are on their period, and women who are on heavy psychotropics. And we know the combination with that. And I mean, it would get so hot in there, the floor would sweat, where we would have to be on 24-hour lockdown. We had a person die of a heat stroke up in there. And so when we start talking about that, the floor 7, 8, 9 became part of the DAI, the Division of Adult Institution. And this goes back to suicide, because when you look in the correctional facilities, which we had a completed suicide while I was at MSDF, because people said they don't care about me. And then you say, why do people get institutionalized? Because you learn to live like the environment you in. So when you come back out to freedom, it's a weird environment. And sometimes it's almost more comfortable. And it's not just the 3 hots in the cot. It's just like,
what to expect.
It's like, I hate to put this in comparison, but it's like in the wild, when you get an animal that's been in the zoo and you put in the wild, it's like, I'd rather go back to the zoo. It's too much out here, the stimulation. And that's why some people will commit a crime or they will die by suicide, because they say, I can't leave in either place. And just on the opposite, sometimes prison is so horrible that if people think if they're going back to prison,
It's not
They say-
worth it.
they
It's
say, "I'm not
it's
going
not
back."
worth it. So you bring up two things. I think in terms of movies, I think in terms of lessons learned, parables, all of that.
Yeah.
So I think of Shawshank
Yeah,
Redemption,
you
right?
know it.
And you have the idea that this is what I've known for so long, or these are the conditions that I've known for so long, that I'd rather take the suicide option. Right. So we're going to talk about the hopelessness, because I think that's a piece of it,
That's
right?
a big piece.
And just how the resources, the tools we give the community moving forward. I think we are ready for a break, if I'm not mistaken. No. We got a couple more seconds. So the hopelessness, how to create hope, how to have a conversation, because another piece we don't talk about enough is, if I'm feeling this way, if these are the emotions that I have, how do I sort that out? Where do I go? How do I even start the conversation? So I ask for your expertise in that. And then just, what do we need as a community? I think I reached out because I started rewatching documentaries, and I thought about Khalif Browder. So that's the conversation I started, right? How something small can blossom into something bigger, create a critical issue where you feel like you don't have any options. So yeah, that's why you're here. I appreciate you answering my call to serve the people and share with the people.
We
so
love the community. That's what it's all about.
Indeed. So when
We
we
wanna
come
save
back, we're
lives.
gonna get all into that.
Let's
You
get
give us
into
some tools, some resources. You are listening to Community Heartbeat, presented by Outreach Community Health Centers. I am Ebony Ssali, in the studio with Dr. Kweku. We'll be right back.
AURN News. I'm Jamie Jackson. The cost of living keeps rising, and new government data shows just how much. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer prices rose 0.4% in August. Now that follows a 0.2% increase in July. In fact, over the last 12 months,
We were chatting suicide prevention awareness. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Give me an idea of what Milwaukee looks like in terms of prevalence. Are rates going up, down, staying the same?
Yeah, actually, there was just an article said we had a 15% increased uptake. And one of the things what most people don't look at is like we look at the news on a regular basis and we see murder every day. This person was shot, this person was killed, but we don't see suicides unless it's attached to a murder or it's a celebrity figure.
Yep.
But suicides are almost 3 times the rate of homicides in this country, and I mean in the state.
Wow.
So we had 237 homicides, but we had like almost 900 suicides. And so it's one of those things, you talk about the S word, the S usually stands for silent because we don't talk about it. And like we talk about suicide, I mean, we talk about homicide and you'll see, okay, so we had the old Office of Violence and Prevention.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to do a whole lot of stuff to be able to stop not just the shooting, but the killings. And the one thing I know over at MCW, they not only talk about violence prevention with that, but they also have a component that talks specifically about suicide to say, how can we bring awareness to people? How can we help people going through it? But then also for those who've experienced it in their life, how do we help them deal with the aftermath? So it's a 3-pronged approach when you talk about suicide, but it is so prevalent in the state, but it's just not talked about.
What about in our community? So if we compared the numbers to, I guess, the general population, general market, and us, how do those rates shift?
So when you start to look at it, suicide is the number 2 leading cause of death for people between 10 and 34. And when you start
the number 2 cause between 10 and 34,
number 2 cause.
Wow.
And so when you start to think about that, it's the 11th leading cause of death overall. But then when you go into our community between the ages of 5 and 12, so we talk about the babies, our babies are 2 times as likely to die by suicide than whites. And the reason why that is big is because if you just go back a few decades, we talking about, we don't do that. That when you heard suicide, that was something we don't do.
The same with therapy. We don't go.
And what it is the more you assimilate inside of a society, the more you take on their ways. But also we talk about those numbers with suicide. Those numbers are actually more higher. So in the field of psychology, we heard this term, and I want people to hear this. What's a term called thanatos? And thanatos basically translates to the secret desire to die.
Wow.
So when you start saying, oh, this person didn't commit suicide, but if Jermaine goes out to the cops and he starts shooting so 15 can kill him, he really died by suicide. They say suicide by cop.
Right.
When we see the reckless driving, when we see people do things with alcohol and drugs, we say, oh, they died of an overdose. Well, what is that? Because there's so many negative connotations attached to suicide. Nobody wants to be seen as weak or sad or I willingly did this and hurt my family. But if we could say it's an overdose, but then if we put in the fentanyl deaths, that's overdose, how does that number go up significantly? So when we just look at when people do things that are so careless, so out of the way, that are so reckless, you say that's a secret suicide.
So what is I don't want to say that's it's not a coping mechanism, right? But it is
a coping mechanism,
right? So we know if
it's just
I don't even want to say they glamorize overdoses, right? But if we look at a Marilyn Monroe, right? I'm going the entertainment route because those are pieces that people know. There's a level of glamour that people try to put behind that instead of talking about some of the issues that might cause the drug use as a coping mechanism, right? Do we see that a lot in our community where people say, let me think about how this would look to my family, right? And that be a reason they move forward with suicide or can prevent, I guess is my question.
Well, see, that's a kind of double-edged sword because when most people are thinking about this, like people say, oh, this person committed suicide, how selfish they were. You leave behind your mom, you leave behind your wife or your husband and your children, your nieces, your nephew, your cousins, your friends, all these people who loved you. How selfish. This person was weak. They couldn't deal with it. Said nothing could be further from the truth. And you say, well, how do you know these things? Because we have people who've attempted and attempts didn't go through. And when they started to talk and they started to illuminate these things, it was like, I didn't want to hurt these people, but it was like my life, I was drowning in a way in which it was unbearable. You know, I'm looking at Jermaine and he's got a little shoulder hurt. But when I look at people who have traditional chronic pain in their bodies, like for years and years and years where you can't move and the quality of life goes up, you'd be like, what good am I? I don't want to be a burden to my husband. I don't want to be a burden to my wife. I don't want to feel this type of pain. This pain is unbearable. If this is how my life is, I would rather be dead. So I tell people, when you know that death is the option, and you saying this is the best option. Imagine what an amount of pain that somebody's going through. So suicide does not mean weakness. It just means it's a high depth of hurt. And a lot of people will never admit that they had suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts, suicidal plans, or maybe even attempted suicide, because so many things are kept hush hush. And if a person is a high profile person, they have a big name, we keep those things even closer for protection. So
let me dig into that a little bit, because I think when we started the show, I said it's okay not to be okay. I think sometimes people think, especially me, because I'm a positive person, I'm an upbeat person. But dang, some days I have days where I'm like, not today. I can't bring it today. It's okay to not be okay. So when you talk about our community and not being a burden on other people and our aversion to therapy, and how does all that feed into suicides, right? Like, I think as a culture, it is very hush hush. It's like we don't talk about that.
And the thing is, it's not as hush hush as it used to be. But you said, what is it? Because when we started thinking about suicide specifically within our Black community, like I said, there's so many negative things. And then we haven't even touched the spiritual, where we say you're going straight to hell if you do that. So now when people are saying, I want to die by suicide, but I don't want to go to hell, I don't want to go to a worse place. Now you have all of these different connotations. So when we say, well, what do we do? The first thing what we have to do is we have to make this a conversation, just like we're talking about it here. And it's difficult. Again, I look at the weather. We look outside. It's foggy, but it's not going to be foggy every day.
True.
And that's what I try to tell people with these feelings. I said, sometimes it's a period of time that we go through. And we got to say, how do I get through this period of time? And then if this period of time is more prolonged and it's longer, what are the other resources? And this is one of the things I'll say that's going to seem controversial.
Not you. Not you saying things that,
Sometimes when we look at suicide, we look at it as bad. But I tell people this, anybody is capable of committing suicide, for one. Can we stop and prevent suicide? Absolutely. But if a person wants to die, they will die. And this goes into the prevalence. Why do women attempt suicide at 12 times the attempt higher than men, but men die 4 times the rate of women? Because when men die, they generally die by firearms or a way that when they say, I'm going to do it, I'm planning to do it. Where a lot of the times the attempts that the ladies will use will be more passive measures, where there is a chance for hope to be saved, or it becomes a cry for help. And when you look at the pressures on men in society, men already die at an earlier rate.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I can't protect my family. I can't do any of this. So guess what? I'm going to do more reckless things. And if it comes to a point where I'm just nervous or scared, suicide might be the best option just to get out of here.
So how do people are at that level. So they've had the ideation, they have the means. How do you put a barrier in between that so that people are reaching out for help?
Well, the biggest thing is, once we get to that point, if we don't have some of those resources already in, it's difficult. That's why we want to let people already know when it's building up what they can do. I can go talk to mama. I can go talk to daddy. I can go talk to a therapist. I can talk to my trusted group of friends. I can go into a medical doctor. I went into outreach on Wednesday because I just had a cough and it was just prolonged. So I was like, this is a little longer.
Shout out to you actually seeking care. I'm gonna just put that out there.
No, because that's a part of the self-care. But when I went in, even though I was going in for that, during the examination, they was like, are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling depressed? Because they say, hey, this might be linked. And if this is something that's going on, we got other resources that we can give to you. So it's those normal, natural conversations that come up. But if people know what some of the resources are, especially if they're anonymous resources. So if I call, if I'm an LGBTQ person and I call the Trevor Project, now I don't have to out myself for my sexuality and I can get some help. If I'm just at home and I'm not a part of the LGBTQ, but I'm just like a strong man and I don't want anybody to know, I can text 988. I can call 988 and talk to somebody, and they don't even have to know who I am, but they'll just walk me through these times. So that goes to your point. Like, what are some of these things that we can do?
So 988. What, from your expertise, what does that process look like? Because I think sometimes when there's worry involved, you create these scenarios that may or may not exist. So somebody's at that point, they reach out to a 988. What does that look like?
It looks like when you call 911. You get a person on the thing and they ask you what's going on, and based on your conversation, they direct you to the places that you need to go. And then once you're talking to a person, you know what they do? They say, hey, is this what you need? Do we need to connect you with other resources? Can we get you with someplace when we find out where you're at? What are the national resources? So we know about NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. Well, what's the Milwaukee chapter? Is there something that they have there? And then also what they started to say is, what are the resources that's going on? So when you look throughout Milwaukee, you're going to see a ton of resources. Where I go to a community event, I don't have to say anything. I just go and listen. Or you find out, hey, you know what? Outreach and Ebony is talking about suicide on WNOB. Don't nobody got to know I'm listening. I can listen here and I can get some answers for me. I can get some answers for my family, or I can store them up. So when I talk about suicide, I tell people this. It's like when somebody dies. If you've already done the stuff beforehand with the funeral home, it goes so much more smoother and it's cheaper. But if you wait till after somebody's passed, the funeral home's going to get a little bit more money. It's going to be a little bit more reckless. Mama wouldn't have wanted this. They would have wanted this. And it causes more confusion. So everything in our life that causes pain and hurt, the more preventative we can be, this gives people ideals of what they can do.
So have a plan. I was taking notes, so I'll make sure that we put the NAMI phone number, phenomenal resource, that we put that up on our website. So there's tools that you can use that are anonymous. But let's say the friends and family, like what responsibility do friends and family, that support network, have to show up as a resource to say, you know, you have not been acting like yourself lately, right? What does that look like in terms of using our community as a support?
So 3 ways. So let's go within the home. This is the inner circle. This is where we have to talk, where you say, hey, we got to have these conversations on a daily basis. So then we find the changes and differences. You ain't got to say nothing to me. I can look at you. I see your sleeping pattern is off. I see your eating pattern is off. You can't lie to me. I'm looking at you. What's going on? And then you know what else I do? I keep my eyes on you. And also I remove anything that's dangerous. I tell people we bring guns into the home for protection, but it's 4 things that happen when you bring a gun to home. 1, it protects you the way you wanted it to. Or 2, there's an accident. Something unfortunate happened. 3, somebody use it against somebody who they was trying to protect in the first place. Or 4, you use it against yourself. So out of the reasons you bring in, only 25% is good. So that means now I got to be more protective of the knives. I got to be more protective of the guns. I got to be more protective of the medication.
Let me just put a plug. I'm going to be shameless. So Outreach and our free vending machine has gun locks and medication locks available for free. No charge, no paperwork. Just walk in and get it. Because that is a great point. If it's just there.
But not even that. You think about like childhood. When you first get a little baby, you say, oh, we got to do the cabinets. Because we saw, you know, set it off for the baby drinking liquids, and you get the liquid plumber.
And I might have been digging in the drawers like, wait, what is that? So it's only by the grace of God, right?
So you want to be extremely careful about what's in the house. So this is where we had those conversations with the family. But now you say, now I'm kind of in my outer circle and whatnot like that. This is where I said we want to do proactive and preventative things, where we have conversations. We do things that promote life, because suicide is such a difficult topic. Now what we want to do is say, hey, we're going to the movies. Like tonight, I'm taking my daughter to go see Cooley High. Not Cooley High, the Last Dragon. The Last Dragon. That's Cooley High tomorrow. But it's like, I'm looking forward to it. Now she's looking forward to it. But now all of a sudden she said, no, I don't want to go. That's my thing. But now it's my friends on the outer circle. We always watch Monday Night Football. And now Jermaine's not coming. I'm like, hold on, something's not right, because we already got preventative things. So when I see a person start to isolate, a person start to not act in their normal vein, I'd be like, okay, that's a clue. And then as a friend, if we know friends don't let friends drive drunk, friends don't let friends drive or live in a state of sadness, where we say we're going to do something. I remember I got a friend named Vance Hazelwood. Shout out to Vance Hazelwood. When we were in the 4th, I don't know, we were in the 4th or 5th grade, we had an ice skating trip. And my mother was paranoid that the ice blade was going to cut my neck, so I couldn't go. So everybody in the school went except for a handful, because it was free. You know, we didn't get to do this.
Because you can't ice skate. We'll get there.
No, but I couldn't, but nobody could. But Vance Hazelwood, mother and father said he could go. But he stayed with me because I couldn't go. And we was just in the auditorium doing nothing. But I said, see, that's a friend. And I'm 53, but I remember something from when I was less than 10 because of what an impact that made. And so when we say what suicide does, research shows us consistently that the more friends you have, the more outlets and connections, it reduces the risk of suicide exponentially. Just one friend. People say, I don't have a lot of friends, but if I just got
you need is that one friend, or two. I will say, even I look at it like there are levels to friendship. So I have the friends, you know, I'm a cordial person.
Yeah.
You know, lots of folks, I'll smile and all that. But having that friend that's like, I haven't talked to you, you decline my calls, I'm at your door.
Yeah.
I brought some food. Scoot over. We don't even have to say anything. Scoot over, but just to know that
you're
I'm
right
here.
there and
Yep.
say, I ain't gonna let
Yep.
you go through
Yep.
this by yourself. And I
Yep.
don't care if you don't want
Yeah.
me here. I'm
right.
here.
I'm here anyway.
And
Precisely.
so when we talk about that, this is like why it's so important, because now you say you have this, but now to the larger community, and I say this for everybody who's listening. Once we know somebody has suffered from a mental illness, or we know somebody has attempted suicide, or has been a person known linked to suicidal ideation, when they come around, don't make them feel weird. Don't make them feel bad,
weird.
because
don't
then they don't want to be around you.
Right.
And then that makes it more likely that they can do it. We do understand that if a person has attempted suicide, the likelihood increases that they may do it again, unless there's been active interventions in their life to help prevent. But if every time I come around you, I feel like I got this scarlet letter of MH, mental health, on my chest, why I want to come around you, why I want to be around group situations. And what we have done, a bad group as a society in general, but even in our community. Hey, you know, Ebony had a breakdown the other day. Hey, you know, Kweku be talking to himself. He be hearing them voices. You know, when you hear those things, we make it a mockery and a joke. So if I'm feeling something, I don't even feel comfortable to say it. So what we got to start doing is saying, hey, this is not a joke, because it's all funny until somebody who you love dies by this. And then you want to be an advocate. Then you want to be a champion. And what I say is, if we really are the village, or we are the community, what we say is we protecting everybody from the beginning. We letting them know that this is a safe space. You are here, and whatever you're dealing with, guess what? We're going to deal with this together, because your problem is really my problem.
So tell people how they can connect directly with you, because I think there's also the cultural aspect of this, right? Like there's some things I just growing up, it's like, well, our house business is our house business, right? Yeah. But you always knew that there were some things that, well, no, I need to take this outside.
That's why we had to keep it.
Right. And so, but then you share that with people.
The only thing is because they then would use it against us. That's why we was like, it's not that we don't want to help. It's just bringing these people in usually gonna make it worse. Yeah. But like when we look at here, okay, so you got like everybody knows the actress Taraji P. Henson. Yep. She has something called the Boris Henson Project name or foundation after her father. If you go there, they have places regionally where you can get people who look like you. Okay. There's a platform called Psychology Today. Okay. If you go on Psychology Today and click in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it'll start telling you. You can say, I want a black woman, I want a black man, I want a person who does it, and then it's a list. And there's a plethora. It's not enough of us, but it is a myriad of people who look like us that are in this field. You know, I look at Esperanza Winter. She has wellness space. I look at Dr. Kia, both the Dr. Kias. One is Amani, one is Amrod Services. And Starlet Patterson Biddle has Mind Star. So when I start to look at all of these places, there are numerous places that we have. Dr. Leah Knox, I think of Simone Kilgore. So
if you want the black women, if you need the black men, however you need to get it in.
And there's so many names I haven't even mentioned, you know, what's there. And so what we start saying is most of the times these things aren't isolated. So I look at like Ken Jenlack and what he does at Serenity Inn with Patrice McBath. It's like sometimes we have dual diagnosis where a person have AODA issues and mental health issues. And we say we can start to deal with these all of a sudden and one at a time, because most of these things don't happen in a vacuum. So we say, how can we start to deal with the wholeness? Because you said in the beginning, well, if a person is thinking about suicide, that means there's probably some other stuff in their life that's not going good. So if we can be proactive in helping their life, maybe those thoughts dissipate and we can get them the sources that they need. And they say, you know what? I was feeling low. I was feeling bad. I was feeling down. Come on, Miss Sophia. He said,
but to know that those are real feelings, valid feelings.
I was feeling mighty low. And when you're feeling like that, you just need what we say, one friend to come and give you a reason. And that's the same. That the Arabian proverb that's in outreach, you know, where there's health, there's life, where there's life, there's hope. And so if people say, what's the one thing I look for, like in suicide prevention, does the person feel like they have hope, or are they hopeless? Because hopelessness is the number one reason that leads to suicidal behavior, ideation, plans, attempts, and unfortunately completions. Because once I've given up hope, what do you got?
What do you have?
But as long as you have infinite hope, then you keep going.
So before we go to the next break, I do want to bring up this idea of hope. So when I reached out, it was again with the thought that Khalif Browder. And I don't know why that story impacted me so much, but it almost felt like you go through everything unfairly, right? So if you don't know the story, just real quick, young black man accused of stealing a backpack ended up doing 3 years as he
because
was
he
awaiting,
did steal it,
right?
and he wouldn't admit that he did it to get out.
So, you know, lawyers, delays, courts, all of that ended up doing 3 years in one of the most notorious prisons in the country, right? As a youth, so came there not even grown. At the end of his life, he chose to die by suicide, and he lost the hope, right? That the system should work as it's supposed to, right? We're told to call the police and do all the things, do A, B, C, and D, and then that still doesn't work out for you. So the hope piece, how do we encourage people to find something to hold on to have that hope? How do we create that foundation?
Is that a real
That's
question?
a real question. Like, it's a real question.
So I think when we start talking about hope, you know, it's like first you got to say that there is hope, and then you have to give people that there's the ability. You know, when I think of hope, one of the people I think about is like Jesse Jackson. And when he was saying, he was like, keep hope alive, because as long as we have hope, you have something. But now you say, when Jesse was saying that, he was the embodiment
when
of
we
it.
met, and we did make jokes. Listen,
keep hope alive.
Like, okay, but you realize as you grow that's
it was
really real.
Power in those words, because what he's saying is, here I am, a black man in 1984, running for these presidents of the United States, when that didn't even look like a possibility that would ever happen. And even though he didn't win in 84, 88, it was like that dropped the seeds of Obama. So when Obama came, we was like, oh, he got a chance, and people went behind it. So if we can do that for an office of political,
then I think about how hopeless we are right now. And
no, but see, that's the key. We are not hopeless, and this is the thing. Whenever you start saying this is the best way I can put it. When you have a warrior's mindset, what you say is, I'm never going to be hopeless. 50 Cent said it best. He said, I'm going to get rich or die trying. So now what I say, I'm going to get well or die trying. And so when we go to this point, what the hope is saying, if I have to give my life for this cause, then I'll give my life for this cause. When I went to those dungeons in Ghana and Africa in Cape Coast and Elmina Bay, you feel the spirit of the ancestors. You feel the pain, you feel the nervousness, you feel all of the anxiety that you knew was in that room. It's weird. It's even hard to articulate. But the one thing you get is, and when you look at it, you say, but damn, what was in our DNA that when they were in this situation where they didn't know what was going to happen, taken from their land, taken from their language, taken from their religion, taken from their culture, come to a land where they're brutalized, traumatized on a daily basis, but yet we still rise. So I said, that's what's in me. So when something comes, I was like, there's hope. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean it comes overnight, but it's that resilience and perseverance that say, I'm going to do it. It's a thing we say in psychology world. If you say I can or I can't, you're correct. So what do you tell yourself?
I love this conversation. So when we pick it up on the other side of the break, we will continue the conversation. September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. I'm Ebony Ssali in the studio with Dr. Kweku. We will be right back.
Hey.
Heartbeat, presented by our community health centers. We are in the studio today talking about an important topic, one that historically we might sweep under the rug a little bit because we tend not to want to talk about serious issues head on, suicide prevention and awareness. Since I am not the expert, and I'm putting that out there specifically, we got Dr. Kweku in the studio. We were chatting about the pop culture influences, right? So when this conversation comes to the forefront when we have a celebrity figure, entertainment, sports, that dies by suicide. The one I kind of started with was Regina King. So her son passed away.
The guy from Ellen show.
Yep. Twitch. So we think that money, wealth, celebrity status is a barrier.
Yeah,
or protection.
It's a layer of protection because it can get you to some services maybe a little bit quicker, but at the end, it doesn't stop you.
Yeah.
So when we started to think about like what prevents this right here is no amount of demographics that you can say that's going to protect me. What protects people was having these conversations, and these people were wrapped in love. Right, so it's not about like I don't have love. Right. And the hard thing is sometimes what people don't want to hear is like sometimes people don't want to be here. And if somebody like if I'm in the store and I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't feel comfortable. I'm in the thing. I'm leaving." Right. But when we come to the world, we don't do this. And I'll say this and let you get on. We had a young man die by suicide. In the suicide letter he had wrote, I was going to shoot up the school. Ooh. But he said, instead of bringing hurt to all of these people because I feel hurt, I'm just going to kill myself. And he killed himself. And the people said, you know what? He's a hero. Wow. Because, you know, if he wouldn't have did that, they said, man, why you didn't just kill yourself? Why you got to hurt these other people? He recognized that.
And our community is bold enough to say that, right? Like you sit with some of the elders and they will actually say that. So, where do you draw the line?
We love our dogs and our cats, and if they are down, it's euthanasia. It's like it's something that's a beautiful death. Like it's by my own thing. And so when we hear that, and that's a more of a Western society, because you go to the Eastern culture, you know, there's some times where suicide is the option, and we only look at suicide in a bad thing. But if I'm doing it to save everybody else, I know a gunman is coming in here and he's going to shoot up WNOV, and I come in and I take all of those bullets for everybody. That's suicide. But it was suicide with a purpose and a cause. And then we somehow started like quantify. Well, that was different.
Right.
Yes and no, because it was like it was an acute situation where I had to make an act where my family be like, well, why you didn't let Jermaine take them bullets and whatnot? Why you have to be the person? It was something that you said I had to do in the moment, and because you're thinking like in such a rush pace, sometimes you do something where you say it's just the right thing. Maybe I would have did something different, but at the moment, that's what felt right.
So you connected the dots with the mental and the physical piece. You said if someone was in trauma, you would call 911. So now we have the mental piece. You have a platform, Mental Health First Aid. I wanted to give you space to talk about that. How do people get connected to that? And then to let the community know there'll be some future collaborations with us in outreach.
Yeah. And so what I love about Mental Health First Aid is it's just like what CPR is to the medical profession. It doesn't make me an expert. But guess what I can do? I can perform CPR. I can do the Heimlich maneuver. I can put on some type of level of care. But you know what I'm doing then? I'm calling 911. So I might not be the expert, but I'm the first contact, and I can give a warm handoff to the expert. So what Mental Health First Aid is, what we teach people how to do is to be alert. We call them like excellent observers. Now I'm looking, and that's half the key. Because once I can observe this, guess what? Now I can say something. I can see it. So we talk about how do we assess a situation? How do I learn to listen to people non-judgmentally? How do I give them, you know, the resources? And then the biggest thing is like, how do I get you connected to resources out in the community? And how do I get you connected to internal things that you can do? Where I teach you to talk to the trees. I teach you to go do yoga. I teach you to go to the library to read. I teach you to eat right, those things with that. And so what Mental Health First Aid is, we have a special section where we teach you about how do we discuss the topic of suicide, because it is so powerful. Go ahead with the question.
So I'm hearing everything that you're saying. And the question I have is, are there signs when people are not verbalizing that I'm suicidal? But what am I looking for if there are indeed signs?
Okay, so that's a great question, and it's a tricky question, because the first thing what we're going to say is those things that are overt. Sometimes people will give you clues. Man, y'all be better without me. Y'all don't need me. Like these kind of like secondary things. Like, what you talking about, man? We need you. But then when you see people looking different than what they was, oh, Jermaine used to dress up all the time. Now he's not looking so good. You know what, man? His beard used to be clean all the time. Now he's looking scruffy. You know, these type of things. He used to talk so positive. Now he's negative. Hey, he was the nicest person. Now he's snapping on me. Guess what? I don't even see him anymore. So we look at those things. But now this is where the tricky part comes in, Debo. Because sometimes if I don't want you to know something that's wrong, guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna clean it up. It's the opposite. I'm happy. When we think about, you talk about celebrities, one of the highest rates of suicide comes from comedians.
Ooh.
These are the people who make us laugh. These are the people who you make everything feel good. You say, I never thought about it. We see pastors die by suicide. We like, these were the people encouraging us. We've seen politicians, the people who fight and advocate for mental health. So to your point is, I tell everybody, anybody is a candidate. So what do I look for? I do look for those overt signs that make me say I want to say something. But also what I want to do is, somebody is looking really good. I say, Debo, how you doing? I'm doing good.
But
Debo,
like,
how
for
you
real,
doing?
yeah.
And then I put you to the side. I said, no, man, holla at me. Because I said, you looking good, but I want to make sure you're good. Like, hey, if you need somebody to talk to, you know, you can holler at me. Sometimes I'll just call a friend and be like, hey, we going to lunch where we can talk in a space where everybody can't. So you see, so you say, how do you know? What I tell everybody is just like when HIV first came on, you worked in the hospital, they say, treat everybody like they got it, because you don't know, because you can't do because of the HIPAA law. So that's how I treat everybody. I said, everybody's going through something. I don't know, Jermaine just got into an argument with his wife and he just found out she was cheating on him and about to leave him, but he ain't gonna tell her. No, what I'm saying is, these are the things we don't know. I don't know that this man
the married
Jermaine want to know why he always the example.
Keith always put me in the grave. Kweku talking about I'm getting divorced. Debo just ribbed. He just
But this is what I'm saying. Honestly, like, don't me right now. Don't nobody know what I'm going through right now. They said, man, he just came in here. He was talking about how to look for it, and then tomorrow you say, man, Kweku.
Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
I'm not. But see, this is what we talk about. That's the sign. We don't want to admit it. So when I see that my mama could do it, that my friend can do it, now what I am, I'm going to be extra after to say, hey, because I know it's possible. Let me talk to you so you know you don't have to do it. If it's something I can do to help you, I'm here. Because sometimes,
because we recently saw that with the altar person.
Jonathan. And remember, when did he do it? The day before the election. There was a pastor that talked about it. He did it on September 10th is World Suicide Prevention Awareness. That was the day he did it, because what they're saying is, like, in the NFL, when these guys will have CTE, they was like, you can't diagnose it till they're dead. So they start shooting themselves in their heart because they wanted their brains to be fully formed so people could be aware and they could research it better to do prevention from that. So all I'm telling people is, listen to me, just in case somebody want to kill Dr. Kweku is not suicidal right now, but I appreciate your love and your care. And I know I got people I can talk to.
Did you say in case somebody want to kill you?
Yeah. So they make it look like it was something.
Don't let them tell that you did it yourself, right?
Where's that power?
But no, you think about it. Whenever you see somebody out the CDC or they do something, even like this Charlie Kirk, it's all kind of conspiracies, because he was like, release the Epsteins. Did you see the hit signals that was going on? And so if he would have did it, they make it look like it's something and whatnot. But so all I'm saying is, to the listening public, is anybody is capable at any time. And just because a person is smiling doesn't mean everything is okay. And sometimes when they're not smiling, doesn't mean they're suicidal. But guess what? I still need a hand up. I still need a love. I still need hugs. I still need somebody around me to let me know it's okay, so we don't get to that area where it's even potential for suicide. So what we're saying is sort of like Take Six. We just want to spread love. We want to give love to everybody. You go to churches, they say
like Take Six.
Yes. Why you think every time you hug somebody, you lift up a spirit. Every time you tell somebody, I love you, I care about you, you look good, man, I can't wait to be around. These are little things we're doing to lift up the spirits, and what we want to do is just do that on a regular basis. But to Debo's point, have those tough conversations. Hey, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Are you thinking about killing yourself? And people not used to hearing that, so it's like, no.
People up.
Or if you are close enough friend, how'd you know? And then they just cry on you, and you like, because you never know what people are going through. So just always be kind and gentle to people. Send out love. And this is the thing, because Ebony said, I'm not the expert, but I say you are an expert in humanity. You are an expert in compassion. So be that first handoff. And then when the information gets to a point where you say, this is more beyond my scope of practice, then we give a warm hand off to those experts at 988-741-741, going to outreach, going to Milwaukee Health Services, going to Milwaukee College, Medical College of Wisconsin, going to any of these other places we talked about. Is no shame to get help. If anybody's thinking about it, that doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you soft. It just makes you human. And when you don't talk about it, you try to do something superhuman, and that's when we get in trouble.
That's why I appreciate you. I know you got to get out of here. So I thank you. How can people find you? Patients, connecting with the initiatives that you have. Is there a website you got?
Yeah, okay. Go to blacksmith.com, BLAQUESMITH.com, blacksmith.com. We do services. We do 4 free mental health first aids every year, but in conjunction, we're going to do one. We're going to have a free screening on September 20th. I don't know the name and the place of it, and then we're going to do a mental health first aid October 20th. But we're open to work with anybody in the community because we want to get everybody certified as a mental health first aider. That's just a knowledge that everybody needs to have. And it's the things where we say, I love Dana Worrell Patterson when she talks about human trafficking. She said, if we could just have one less, I think that includes just the opposite. And so my children were a part of a campaign, and it's called One More. And so what we want to do is get one more resource, get one more hug, one more clap on the back, one more reason, one more proverb to say there is a reason for hope.
This is what I'm talking about. I appreciate you. I'm making my notes. So as you get that information, please forward over to me. We will definitely work. So this is my public accountability to say I'm doing the mental health first aid so we can make sure that we are supporting the folks in our community. So I'm going to let you sneak out of here. I appreciate you.
Thank you for allowing me on.
Absolutely. And y'all make sure y'all tune in every Wednesday at 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Great topic. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I got to be in this meeting, but I got to listen at the same time. So thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you.
Likewise, Queen.
As we continue, we'll talk about those resources that are available. We're not taking another break, are we? I gotta watch the man because he don't play with my breaks and making sure we get in and out. But I'm appreciative of that information. Let's do what we can collectively, Milwaukee, to take care of each other, to check in on each other, to make sure that we're watching for those signs, that we're getting certified. I think that is a good point. Just caring about people, just having the piece of humanity is important. And sometimes it's just making sure that people know that if they're not okay, they can talk to you and connect with you. So I'm interested to hear back from you and the impacts that suicide might have had with you and your family. 414-444-5250. Give us a call, connect. If you're looking for resources or you want those phone numbers again, 988 was the suicide crisis lifeline that you can call. NAMI Wisconsin is another resource. So again, I work on putting those pieces together so that we can get through it together. Especially when we start talking entertainment, when we start talking about sports. I made the call because it seems like we only bring up these conversations when they hit the media, when they're out in the public. So I reached out for Regina King's son was one, Ian, who kind of stuck with me because you can believe that people are good. They've got the wealth, they've got the outside influences that seem that they would keep this issue off the table. But sometimes that can make all the difference too. So if you're feeling like it's not okay, if you're feeling like I need somebody to talk to, just make sure that this month you take an extra special note to reach out and connect with people as you need. So again, we'll have some connections with the mental first aid. I'm making myself and holding myself accountable for that will be coming up soon. Outreach community health centers. Let me just give a plug to the behavioral health programming that they have over there. We got people that care, right? Sometimes you just need to know that we've got people and that they care. So 414-727-6320 if you are looking to connect with care, primary care, behavioral health care. We didn't get deep into the medication side, but there are medications for a ton of different issues that folks might be dealing with mentally. So to know, I know we sometimes say things like they're off their meds, right? But we need to make sure that medication is a piece and people feel comfortable and able to access those drugs and keep that mental health piece in check. So it looks like we have a caller. Greetings. Good morning. Welcome to Community Heartbeat.
Good morning, Miss Ebony. How are you?
Good
This is Angela.
morning. Hey, Miss Angela. How are you feeling this morning? You see, we got a heavier topic this morning, but I think a critical topic this morning.
Yeah. I was listening, and I wanted to say something about when the young man was talking about how people be in pain, and like myself, I've been in pain for weeks, and I've been in this house. I haven't been able to get out like I normally do, and suicide has run across my mind. But I'm be strong. I'm stronger than that today because I know that's not what God would like. That's not part of life for Him. And I have tried it. Believe me, I have. But
And that's what I hope that we get to a place where we destigmatize that, because I would be bold enough to say that I feel like it crosses everybody's mind, right? Like we get to a point where the stress just feels overwhelming. And I know even myself, I have to have talked myself off the ledge. And there's some times where the mantra that I'll repeat is just get through today and try again tomorrow. Like sometimes you just get to the point where I can't do this today. I just need a day to sleep. I just need a day to be around my people. I just need a day to have an extra therapy session. Sometimes it's just not okay. And I think we need to start acknowledging that. So I appreciate you for even acknowledging that. Sometimes, my mind goes there. Yeah.
And I like the part when you said, because a young lady, I don't remember where I was, but she gave me this bracelet. When you say it's okay to be okay, I still got that bracelet in my jewelry box. And I was like, wow. It was a white young lady. I was at someplace, but she just took it off her arm and she said, I want you to have this.
Yeah. It's okay to be okay, not to be okay. When we look at even, let's say, weather patterns, and we connect weather with mood, right? It is not going to be sunshiny every day. On the flip side of that, it's not going to rain every single day, all day, right? There will be sunshine again. So that's when I say my mantra is just some days are not it. Just try again tomorrow. Sometimes just repeating that and know that you're valuable. Like you are needed, you are wanted, you are cared for. Just to know that is important, right?
And I know that because I know what my worth is. I know what I'm worthy of. And even though I can't get out, I haven't been out the house. I can try to go on the porch, but I can't stay out there long because of the pain that I'm in. I'm in excessive pain. I've never been in this much pain where I can't go anywhere.
Now, do you have a community of support, some folks that can check in on you? Because I got your number now, so I'm gonna make sure I put you on my text list. But let me ask you, do you have that support network that can come in, check on you, bring you something to eat, or just sit with you?
Yeah, right? I do, but I'm been a private person. I just like young man. I don't like to put my burdens on nobody. So I just my pastor and church members, they call me, but I can reach out to them and a couple of other people, but I haven't.
Please do that. Can you make me a promise that you will do that? I think I'm like you, right? So I'll carry everybody's burden, and then I'll carry my own too, right? And I'll sit back and I won't share when things aren't right with me, and I won't share. But imagine you giving somebody else the opportunity to show up for you. That's how I reframe that. Like you show up for everybody's superhero. Allow folks every now and then to be your superhero and swoop in and help you, right? I think the other piece, especially with women, Black women, is that we don't have to save the world. Like there are also days where I just go into my little cocoon. And I have to tell myself, Ebony, you don't actually have to save the world today. Like you could just save yourself today. Right. So just know that I love you. The network of support is there. And it's brave to just say, look, we all got it hard. I've tried to explain to my daughter and model to my daughter that just because you see someone that looks put together, we all have challenges in different ways. So I tell her, pick your hard. It's hard to get up every day and go to the gym, right? Ride out. It's hard to do that. It's hard to eat well. I took August and did no meat, no alcohol. It was hard to be sitting in the spot with a glass of water, right? Where everybody's enjoying and toasting to champagne. But you pick your heart. I know that I don't want heart disease to take over. So I'm going to drink the water and I'm going to let the meat go for now, right? Pick your heart. Know that there's a community out there. Know that we all got some kind of struggle. There's nothing weak about that. I love that sentiment, is that there's nothing weak about seeking treatment. There's nothing weak about talking about it. That's what your network is there for. It can't be all popping bottles, right?
Right. And my main, with me being ill like this, I just want to get some sleep.
Okay. Now, have you had a checkup recently? I ain't gonna be all in your business, but your little sister is like.
I've been on the phone with the doctors.
Okay.
Every day, 2-3 times a day, but they're not telling me nothing I want to hear. They just want to throw medicine at me. No, I'm not. No, I don't need that medicine. I need for you to find out what's wrong with me. Medicine don't fix everything. It does something, but it don't fix everything. Not in my condition. It's not fixing anything.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to say, take it slow. Outreach is always here to support. But I also want you to consider the medication. It's not a fix all. You sound just like me, Angela, which is why I'm smiling a little bit, because it has to be like World War III for me to take a Tylenol, right? I'm no, my body is telling me I need to drink more because I got a headache. It's not saying put medicine in there. It's telling me to eat better. Yeah.
And before I go to the hospital, I got to be in excruciating pain where I can't take it no more.
Yeah. But I'm going to say this. So I'm going to take the other side of that equation. It shouldn't take us to get to that level to take care of ourselves. Right.
Yeah.
So whether it's, I'm good for a good DoorDash, I send some food to your door. Just to know that you're cared for. But I also want you to get back out there, double check, just pop into the doctor once more. If they give you a little bit of medication, just take that, because pain, and I'm not going to go super deep with this, pain, whether in the body or in the mind, has to be treated. Right.
Yeah,
it's got to be treated. So just know that I love you, my Angela. I can't wait to see you at the next event. And just know, I'm always just a text away. Always.
Okay.
Always. So I appreciate you calling in. Appreciate you listening in. Milwaukee, that's how we show up for each other. So we have to make sure that we are listening, that we are, like I said earlier, we talk to the trees. Sometimes you just need to have somebody there with you, whether that's sitting quietly, whether that's supporting loudly, because sometimes we need different things. Just know that it's cool to show up for your people. It's cool to help be a part of that hope. Because it's all of us taking care of all of us. Let me see what else we've got going on. In addition to that, I mentioned briefly about the gun locks, the medication locks. As a part of being a responsible adult, make sure that if you have firearms in your house, you have them locked up appropriately. With that, I'm going to say, without going too deep, many of my friends conceal carry, right? Open carry is kind of the law here in the city. Most of them have done something that in the beginning seemed a little bit odd to me. But let's say we're at the happy hour. Many of them will lock their firearms in their vehicle, right? So you got the concealed carry, but in this instance where you're going to have cocktails, you're making it safer, right? So now somebody walks in, they step on your shoe, you might be popping off a little more than you might if you did not have that firearm. I'm switching it and saying the same applies when you're at home by yourself or you have that family time. and the wine is flowing and this is happening and that is happening, make sure that you're locking up those firearms, because that's when the accidents happen. When you're having a terrible, terrible time in life, if you know that these are thoughts that come to your mind, remove those lethal options, right? Lock it up. And I'm saying we have those resources for you for free at Outreach, both the medication piece and the firearms piece. So do the right thing. Being an adult requires responsibility. Lock up those things. In addition, we've got some programming that's coming through Outreach every Tuesday, the harm reduction program. And that is for those drug users. That is for substance abuse. That is for all of those coping mechanisms that could be signs leading up to attempts for suicide. So I'm just going to say this. Help is out there. The bravery comes in asking for that help as it's needed. These are professionals that this is what they do for a living. And I like to frame it that way because I know how serious I am about my craft, how serious I am about the work that I do. These professionals take their vocation just as serious. So the tools are there. 414-727-6320. If medication is an option from our providers, we have a full pharmacy there. So those therapies we can take advantage of. So again, September, suicide prevention awareness. It's a heavier topic, but a necessary topic. To sweep it under the rug does none of us any good. So let me see where I'm at. Am I up for my break right out? Because I feel like I am. Am I? We got to make sure 2 minutes. Okay. So let me ask. Let me bring you back into the conversation right out. On those days where it's heavy, right? What do you do on the days where it's like, yeah, I'm not feeling this today. I'm not. Me, I'm a in bed, covers over the head. I'll be there tomorrow.
Days like this,
I'm
either at the gym to try to get some stress off of me.
Okay.
Or I just go to the studio and just start creating.
Okay.
Just
so
to
the
try
creation.
To get, just to try to get in a good mind space.
No, right. I'm about to yell at you. So scoot on up to the mic. I'm about to yell at you.
Oh Lord.
I can't have you in the gym to the point of you're hurting yourself now. So we got to talk about this form and this connection. We got to make sure you're taking care of yourself in the gym.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just just overdoing it and not really resting that muscle.
Get somewhere and sit down. This is, let me see, big sister, little sister,
somewhere,
cousin, them sat down.
Sat down somewhere.
Sat down. So I'm gonna say that physically, and just, I mean, these are the time again for me. Just speaking of Ebony, fall is not my season. I'm going to hibernation because I just don't feel it. I need the sun. I need the positivity. So I program those things around my life. We do have a caller. So greetings. Good morning. Welcome to Community Heartbeat.
Good morning.
How are you?
I've got a question.
Sure.
When a kid is 10 years old or 12 years old and he commits suicide, where did those thoughts come from? Where did the knowledge of suicide even come from in that kid?
Now, again, this is not my formal vocation, but I can speak to the idea of hope, right? So as a 10-year-old child, you really don't have the foresight to know that these conditions don't last as long as life should, right? I used to ask questions like that too, like, well, where does that come from? Where is that seed planted? How can people not have?
But you are a health wellness person, right? Is Dr. Kimbo still in there?
No, he had to run. He had a patient coming up, so he stopped in for the community support. But you're asking, where does that come from, right? That's almost asking, where does happiness come from?
No. Not when it comes down to suicide. Because listen, white people, when I was a kid, they always, you would even hear on their radio station, suicide prevention, this and that. You never heard that on WAWA, WNOV, 1290, LUM, any station that urban people listen to, because it wasn't a part of what we do. But as you constantly talk, you constantly plant seeds. See? And now the seed have been planted. White folk done bagged out of it. And guess what? We're left to bear the fruit, because we'll take that white man's seeds and we plant them in our own communities. And when they start to grow, then we create LLCs. We make a business out of this, because when you do the statistics on suicide, the same thing with this mental health thing. We run around right now. It's a hot topic in our community. I stroll the dial on XM radio everywhere. I don't hear no other group screaming mental illness, because for one reason, once you get diagnosed for real with mental illness, it's like having a felony on your record. So they pushing that in the Black community, and we so naive to it. And a lot of us are hustlers, because we automatically grab onto our people is sick. Our people is sick. So when you constantly talk about suicide, self-murder, children, and you put that in the mind of a child, he don't know nothing about that, but he figures this could be a way out. If he's hurting, he could be mad at his mama for something, like you said, that's not going to last for long as he's going to be alive. And guess what he do? He commits suicide.
Let me give you
some suicides are staged. You look at 2023, and guess what? You got about 3,000 people, Black people I'm talking about, that committed suicide. Now 3,000 is too many. One is too many, but 3,000 is not nearly as bad as we push the narrative, and we push the narrative for our own greed and self-gratification. And when you do that, you put stuff, you suicide for a kid. Now he has an option to go leave out of this place as a puff of smoke, never being able to reproduce or having the option to reproduce. And he just was here and no more. And you look at our statistic numbers, we are in a terrible shape. We're fighting against suicide now. Suicide has become a talk. We're fighting against disease.
Let me give you a different perspective on that. So while the concept of therapies around supporting those who have suicidal ideation has become, I won't say trendy, but it's a topic of conversation.
No, that's a good word for it. That's a good word. I like that word.
Let me reframe this and say, the man who is coping with stress by drinking himself into a hole over 20 years is doing the same thing, right? That's just a slower method of suicide, right? It's doing the exact.
No, it's not right.
Hear me
That's
out.
Not right.
Hear me
I can't
out.
Agree
Hear
with
me
you.
out. The person that is using drugs, who knows that they're right on the cusp of that overdose, they're doing the same thing. So I think we have to reframe it and say, this is not a conversation about the means to the end. This is a conversation about the hope that gets you there, and the hopelessness.
But that's accidental. That's accidental in most cases.
So do me a favor. Can you hold on through the break so we can come back and pick this up?
Sure.
Okay. Sure. Hold on through the break.
At least you and I are having a dialogue.
Yes, indeed. We've got another caller too, so I need you to hold the line. We will be right back. This is critical information, and I don't want to sweep it under the rug. You're listening to Community Heartbeat, presented by Outreach Community Health Centers. We'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. The cost of living keeps rising, and new government data shows just how much. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer prices rose 0.4% in August. Now that follows a 0.2 increase in July. In fact, over the last 12 months, prices are up nearly 3%. Food was one of the biggest drivers last month, climbing 0.5% overall. Prices for fruits and vegetables saw an even sharper jump, up 1.6%. Now, energy costs also edged higher, with gas prices up nearly 2%. And the cost of shelter, which includes rent, rose 0.4%. That was the largest single contributor to the monthly inflation gain.
Presented by Outreach Community Health Center. I'm Ebony Ssali. We had a caller, so I just wanted to pick up that conversation. Thank you so much for hanging on throughout the break. So we were talking about the trend that is the conversations around suicide, and where is that coming from, and why is that so popular in our community now. And I was just sharing before the break that I think the topics have been taboo. I talked about how we grew up in our business is our business, and you keep what goes on in this house, and that was the way at least I was raised, right? Is your family business is your family business. But as we have grown,
you know
matured,
what? Your family business was right. See, your folk was right. And what has happened is we have allowed the outside to come in and push narratives. And now, see, it's sort of like this right here. Have you ever fallen off a bike or got a
But
scab?
wait, let me follow my train of thought here for a minute, and I'm gonna circle back.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It is not until I have become an adult and I've looked around and said, my God, I have had the safe spaces to grow up. I have had the protection around me. There's a as I was preparing for this show, there's a web series called Soft White Underbelly, which talks about people in their drug use and how that drug use has compelled them to do and make certain life choices. What I'm saying is this: I have the blessing of having grown up with protective uncles, right? I don't have sexual abuse in my family, in my circle, right? I grew up with a mother, with a father that were supportive, right? They didn't shout on me. There was no physical abuse. You don't realize until you're older that those are blessings, right? I can't assume, though, that everybody has had that same safety, that same security. I didn't have to steal food to eat, right? I didn't have to make all these life choices. So what I'm saying is, how foolish would it be of me to talk about, from my standpoint and my perspective, how I move through life? That's not to say somebody else does not have those same guardrails, those same protections.
See, that takes a different train of.
Right. So now
this is a different train of questioning.
But this is where I'm going with this. Hear me out. How people adapt, how people cope, how people are finding their way through some of life's deepest challenges is important, and how we treat them is important. So while it's not my burden, I can make sure I hold space for somebody else that is their burden, and how they cope with it. And so for them, can you imagine how bad it would have to be to say, I don't want to be here anymore? That's not just like because I had to wait in line.
Become a, like you said, trendy thing or an option in our thought, because so much over just preponderance of suicide. Don't do this, don't do that. He killed himself. We shouldn't do that. And it becomes a psyche thing, to whereas it becomes an option to us. Now, you were talking, and then that takes that into a whole different other conversation, because I could then at that point say, well, if you've never experienced it, what gives you the qualification to even talk on it? Well, through books and I think that's great, because our professors and deans haven't did a lot of things either, but they out the book. So that's just somebody that wants to. I'm getting. I shouldn't even went there, because I was stuck on this suicide thing, and we're doing in mental health how we're constantly pushing it. It's sowing the seeds in our community, and they're springing up everywhere, and we don't know what to do with all of these weeds that are coming up. Suicide is just we plant it every time we talk about it. Have you ever had a sore or fell off a bike and you got a scab on?
Yeah.
You got a scab on.
Yeah.
And in its process of healing, it itches, doesn't it?
Yep.
When you scratch around and your mama come tell you, don't be scratching that thing, it's gonna never heal, it's gonna get infected.
Yep.
And we keep scratching it, and if we real hard headed, we'll scratch it a little bit and it'll bleed.
Yeah.
Okay, it'll bleed, right?
Yep.
And it's not healing. And that's what happens when things happen to people through life's experience.
Yeah.
Every time you sit in a place and you discuss this thing, you're scratching around the wound. You're scratching around that scab, and you know what? You scratch it long enough, it'll start to bleed, and it never actually heals. And that sore could be on you for years.
Yeah.
It can become infected.
Yeah.
You know,
and you have scars that don't heal. And so I'm saying, just as we wouldn't tell somebody in the physical that fell off a ladder and broke their arm, we wouldn't tell them to walk it off, shake it off. We would make sure that there was medical intervention, because if the bone doesn't heal properly,
ma'am,
right?
We're dealing with two things now. We're dealing mental, and we're dealing physical.
What I'm saying is some people,
you can't throw that one on me that easy, and I go for it.
Some people are built differently mentally, and some of the things and challenges that would break one might not. What might break your arm might not break mine. I've never broken a bone. I've never been in a cast. That don't mean I don't respect people who have broken bones and been in a cast.
You said something earlier in this dialogue that I heard a coroner say.
Mm-hmm.
She says when she goes and check out these people in these houses and stuff, and when she goes to a suicide thing, you know, she says she probably never get over this stuff. She think about some of this stuff, you know, but as time go on, it fades out into the memory, fades out of memory. And she says when she go to a suicide deal, she asks herself, why didn't it's always tomorrow? And you said that in your dialogue earlier.
Yeah.
You said it's always tomorrow. She said, why they just can't see that it's always tomorrow, it's gonna get better.
And
now,
that's our work. That's our work. Now I do want to grab this other caller that has been holding,
that's
but
right.
let me just say
get out of here.
Let me
I
say I
appreciate dialoguing with you. It was a
you.
casual conversation. I enjoyed myself.
Yes, I appreciate you. Keep calling, keep listening. To that point, again, I think that there is there's a sliding continuum. So this is not one thing fits all. Like I said, one thing that might break a bone for me might not. And it's not until you start listening to people's stories that you can say, my God, there was one woman who sexually assaulted, kicked out of home, beat and abused by the people she was adopted. And to her, that was like enough. Life has shown me that my life has no value. And what I'm saying is the thing that's different from back in the day, or when we had the way we grew up, is my parents gave me space to not be okay. My coaches gave me space to not be okay. I was guided through how to deal with my emotions. I was given the opportunity to have conversations and talk. What I'm saying is, let's respect the fact that not everybody has that covering. And so we want to talk to them to say there is a safe space for you. So for the caller that has been holding, thank you so very much. Welcome to Community Heartbeat.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, sitting back listening to the things of life, and I'm going to talk about Black people.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get into a lot of psychedelic drugs till later on. And that's a lot of things that cause our thoughts to go off into these things. I was married to a young lady. They end up, you know, diagnosing her with bipolar. And so that pushed me to go and find out what mental illnesses were. So I went to the A-frame that was out of the county, and I got an understanding. I got hours in on this here, how to do a diagnosed mental ill patients or drugs, you know, because they, you know, some people are on drugs, some people are not. And they slip into suicide situations because these psychedelic drugs sit there and they talk to you. And people don't understand that. And you find yourself in dark places. But myself being raised, in the form that my dad and mom was keepers. They kept us. 16 of us. We wouldn't have, you know, if I did go out there and try life, but I came back home in the things of God. But a lot of these people out here, they say, well, we shouldn't tell no outsiders this, that, and other. No. You truly need to get an understanding of what you're going through.
Yeah.
Because if you always keep it at home and nobody at home ever went out and got educated on this thing, that's the problem right there. Now it become a domino effect in your house.
Yeah.
I know young people that has got off on that K2, and I've seen them change. Their life went down the drain. Now they schizoid and all that because of the psychedelic drugs that they have put in our communities. And now our children and our young adults that's walking around here, some of them said, this one lady said at the gas station, I know what happened to her. I seen it. Her family was selling the K2. She was using it. Now she's so schizoid, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
But I see another one of their family members that was on the same thing decided to get away when he went to jail. When he came back out, he wasn't as bad as he was, but he did say something. He said, I can't go back to using that no more.
Yeah. Because
if I go back to using that, it had me in a bad place. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and I'm thinking about the quotes, the mantras, the things that kind of repeat in my support circles. And so one of the things we say is we all get addicted to something that takes the pain away. Now, if we are doing that as a positive member of society, that's reading, that's time by yourself, that's therapy, that's journaling, that's you find positive ways. But then you have the alcohol abuse and the substance abuse and the sexual proclivities, and you have the other things that you start doing to take place of that. We all get addicted to something, right? Right. And so what I was trying to share with the previous caller is that I can't judge how somebody else moves through that, right? And moves through that pain. So our work is to say, here are the resources if you do find yourself here. We all get there. Like I said, I've had the roughest, darkest nights of my life where I'm like, you know what? Just get through tomorrow. Today hurts. Today is pain that I haven't felt before. The tears, the this, the that. But let me just sleep for tonight and try again tomorrow.
Excuse me. I've had people who call me in the wee hours of the night, and they, because they've been drugged out for the last few days, they hadn't had any rest, and now they mind just. And I said, let's do this here. Let's get you some rest.
Yeah.
And the next day, when they get up from that rest, get them a good meal, a shower, and all that. Guess what? They say, I can't go back there.
Yeah.
What can I do to get? And if you don't, when they at that point, if you don't seek that help and get them the proper help, you'll find them there at the bottom of that bottle.
Yep.
At the end of that drug situation. Once again. And the next time it might be darker than the last time.
So
and
I mean,
you might not be there to save that situation.
And I don't think we have to put ourselves in a position that we are quote unquote saving people. But I have been that friend that has been like, you know what? We can't stay in this space, right? Where I have gone to the house and said, look, we cannot stay in this sad place. But for tonight, I will sit here with you. I will sit here with you tomorrow, because we also can't put a timeline on it. You know, we can't say after 3 days, you got to get, but you know, some people have a rougher time, but I think just being that ear, being the person that you can kind of sit with and just say, I don't have all the answers either, but I know collectively we can. So I appreciate you listening. We got another call.
I thank you for your message and you putting out there. Keep doing the good work.
Absolutely. So keep listening, keep sharing. I appreciate you all, community. Like I said, this is not a topic that comes easy, meaning that we should never get desensitized to people who decide to take their lives. I never want us to get to a society where that's just accepted practice, but to know that there are different reasons why, and helping sort through some of that hopelessness. So we've got a caller. Greetings and good morning. Welcome to Community Heartbeat.
Well, good morning. First thing I want to say is, when you look at some of these households, or they say what goes on in the houses, what goes on in the house stays in the house, is the reason why a lot of these people are all effed up in the head right now.
I hear you. Yep.
And some people will never admit that. That goes to some of these parents who put all their baggage on their kids' shoulders, or they mad at the father and want to put all that on them, or those people who want to get high and be pissy drunk in front of their kids. They're the reason. And when these kids get in and out, sometimes these kids just want love and guidance. But because some of the people within that household is so bitter, jaded, and selfish, and want to drink Parmesan and smoke joints all day and collect checks, they don't want the best for them. Because if they get the best for their kids, that means they have to step up. But also, I would say this: you can help people going through times, but sometimes your help can be a detriment, because you can't help nobody who don't want to help themselves. And if they always have an issue and you only can do so much, sometimes life, they're gonna have to learn from life, because your help will be a crutch, because they're gonna have to come to you and say, well, I don't have to stand on my own 2 feet because I know I got help. Sometimes that help always can't be available.
No, that's true. You bring up so many good points. I think the what goes on in this house stays in this house is not meant to be, we just let anything go on in the house. I was a talkative kid, so I could hear my mom saying, but it would be like, hey, my mom has 500 pairs of shoes, and hey, my mom had, and she's like, that's not everybody's business, right? But that's not meant to say when help is necessary. When things are not okay in this house, you do need to be able to go to a neighbor. You do need to be able to go to that. And I said, by the grace of God, I didn't have those issues. But my God, imagine if I was growing up in abuse and not being able to talk about that. You're going to internalize that, right? You're going to carry that with you through your life.
And sometimes you can only tell them so much. Mm-hmm. But if they choose to go back, so I tell people, I only can tell you so much. I can only help you so much. But if you decide to go back, you must like what's going on. Because I'm not going to put my money behind bad money. And I'm trying to get you to a better place. But you want to go back to the same place when they jumping on you and trying to touch on you. Then when they get done, and after they clear up on them hangovers, they want to talk them Bible verses.
But give people, I will say, give people grace. Bring the law in when necessary. But I think together we got to start making it just like I talked about trends. We have to make it trendy that our kids feel safe to talk up when something is not right. And that if it's not within their household, that they feel safe enough to say, I'm not okay. And for the people who have confided in me, what an honor to be able to say, I don't feel well. And I know Ebony's not a doctor, but for this moment, I can sit with Ebony and have this conversation, that to let her know that I'm not okay. That's a blessing in and of itself. I appreciate you for listening. I'm going to try to grab this caller that's called in. Thank you. Listen, community, we having these conversations. We know what's necessary. I just lost them. If you get a chance, give me a call back before we wrap up the show. But these kinds of conversations need to happen. So thank you, Milwaukee, for the space to be able to come in to share. To Dr. Kweku, thank you for having those conversations. Okay, we got the caller back. Greetings. We got a couple more minutes before we wrap up the show. Welcome to Community Heartbeat.
I really am happy that I got in on this show. I want to share a couple of things. I think that all of your callers and yourself were outstanding. And in my life, I had some relatives who messed up. I don't know for dope or what, but they claim they have been diagnosed as bipolar, and they don't want to hear anything. That's the excuse for everything they do wrong. I've been diagnosed. So that needs to be paid attention to, and y'all have a good one.
We appreciate you. Listen, so I hope the message today is it's okay not to be okay. Lean on your community as needed. Seek those professional resources because they are available. Sometimes it's just that you need to get through to tomorrow. Know that I love you. Know that this is the very purpose of this show. And I hope it continues to bless our community, uplift our community. That is what it was intended to do. I hope you also meet me back here in 2 weeks, Friday, September 26th at 7 a.m. We're going to talk about how to keep our men healthy in our community. Milwaukee, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. Community Heartbeat, presented by Outreach. I'm Ebony Ssali. We'll see you soon.